Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me nice and clear. Welcome to the Asia Berlin Summit and to this satellite event with the exciting topic, AI startups solving industry challenges. I'm Friederike, part of the Humboldt-Tech Bridge team. And before we begin with our program, I'd love to show you the very special location where we're streaming the event from, which is the AI Campus Berlin. And I'm going to switch my camera so you guys can see it a bit better. I'm here at the very core of the AI campus, which is the connection space. And it's not only a beautiful spot, but it's also the perfect place to connect and to network with other entrepreneurs and researchers here on campus. And just on a side note, they probably have the best coffee machine in the whole of Berlin. So yeah, I'm now going to take you to the makerspace where my dear colleagues and our wonderful speakers are waiting for you. Here you're now going to get, you're seeing my colleague Lars, and you can see our little setup here. There a little sneak to the speakers. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Lars then.
Okay, thank you so much, Friederike. And also from my side, I heartily welcome you to our event today called AI Startup Solving Industry Challenges, a Sino-German view on autonomous driving. This is a satellite event of the Asia Berlin Summit, just hosted this week. We are broadcasting from the AI campus, not from the main stage. And I would say it's definitely the cooler spot, at least for the AI enthusiasts. And with this event, we really follow the DNA of the Asia Berlin Summit, which means to connect startup ecosystems, startups itself, and all the supporters we have. So today, we have a lot of experts from Germany and from China, and we exchange our views on AI and autonomous driving. We will connect also from AI Island in Shanghai. So at least once I have to make this joke that we are doing an AI island hopping. So we connect these two ecosystems. As the title indicates, we're talking about artificial intelligence. We use autonomous driving as a use case because AI is simply such a broad topic itself. If you don't have any clue about the agenda, what's happening now, then shame on you. Then immediately go to LinkedIn, follow us on LinkedIn, Humboldt-Tech Bridge. There you have seen all our marketing. If you haven't done this yet, then I got you covered. I will give you a short introduction what you can expect from today. So we have two keynotes today, one from Germany, given by Rasmus Rothe, the co-founder of Merantix and a renowned AI specialist. Then we also have a keynote from the China side, from AI Island Shanghai. Mr. Zhao Dang, he will join. Then we invited two startups, again, one from Germany and one from China. From Germany, we have, he's already sitting here next to me, Thomas Strottner from Bright AI. And then we have from China connected Scott Zhang from Neolix. They will present their startups, their solution they have for the industry. And then we bring all together and adding some female power by bringing in Tina Klüver, the AI director of science and startups, and Grace Che from ContiTech China in the panel discussion afterwards. So in total, we have an event of approximately 2 hours. So we should finish around 11:30, 11:45. So if you have questions, comments, always feel free to also use the chat if you can. And we will see if we can pick up some questions. We will start with the keynote from the German side. Yeah. So we have here Mr. Rasmus Rothe. He's the co-founder and CTO of Berlin-based Merantix. What they say, the world's first venture studio for AI. He's the co-initiator of the AI Campus Berlin, very new place. So basically what you have seen just now, it's really exciting. It's the leading AI community hub in Berlin. And he's also a very well-known AI researcher. He has more than 50 academic publications, more than 1,000 citations on deep learning, attending Oxford, Princeton, ETH Zurich. So it's very impressive what you have done so far. And you are also mentioned as, or featured as the Forbes 30 under 30. So I'm very happy, glad that you're here, Rasmus. I will give you the stage to tell us a bit more about Merantix and your great story behind. Yeah, so great. Just to show you're all vaccinated, so we don't have to use mask.
All right, great for the thanks for the great introduction. So yeah, very honored to give the keynote here. I want to give a quick overview of what we are working on at Merantix and also put the AI campus a bit in perspective between our other initiatives. So I think the first slide is really like kind of preaching to the choir. So you know, we have the strong belief that similarly to software and the internet, also AI will not only disrupt a lot of industry, but also create a lot of category leaders that will emerge in the next decades. And so similarly, how software, you know, led to simple automation and internet kind of removed intermediaries, we really think that AI will be kind of the next wave there and will basically have a huge impact on every single industry. And that for me was at least already pretty clear in like 2015, 16, when I was still in AI research, that would have a huge impact everywhere. At the same time, the more interesting observation was probably that it's actually also quite hard to bring AI in production. And you can see that now that it's, you know, very easy to build, you know, like an algorithm. There's a lot of open source, a lot of tools out there. So for example, for one of our applications in medical imaging, you can probably build a prototype in like 2-3 hours. Now building a really robust product, shipping that to the market and, you know, building a full-fledged solution is much harder, and it requires much more work and also much more interdisciplinary skills. And that's basically what we try to bring together at Merantix to really make sure that we can create like real AI applications. And the way it works is basically that as a venture studio, Merantix, we ideate with founders, we bring them in, work with them for 6 to 12 months, really test and validate a lot of ideas. And when we have conviction, we basically spin it out and then currently invest up to around 3 million euros into the company to kind of fund the initial product development and, you know, like, yeah, initial traction to then like further build the company. And, you know, what money is obviously one part we bring to the table, but it's also really sharing knowledge between our companies. They're all actually co-located on the AI campus, providing access to industry partners, and also to investors for follow-up rounds. And we've kind of built an ecosystem of quite a few things around Merantix. So as was mentioned, we've been, you know, quite close to the AI community in Germany, co-founding the German AI Association. We've also been running a solutions provider, Merantix Labs, that actually runs customized AI projects for industry partners. Some are Fortune 500, some are startups. And that is not only interesting because the business itself is growing actually quite a lot, but also it helps us really to identify new industry challenges where we potentially would then incubate a product company. At this point, we are a bit more than 100 people across our companies. I've started 6 product companies. And yeah, I want to give a quick overview about our companies and maybe also some of the challenges we've been facing building those companies. So first of all, our first company is Vara. It's a company that is in the breast cancer imaging space. So breast cancer is actually, you know, a very deadly cancer that if it's detected too late, leads to very high death rates. And actually 1 in 7 women get breast cancer at some point in their lives. And doctors currently miss 25% of the cancers they could actually see. So 1 in 4 is really missed, which is a crazy number. And AI can do much better. And so we've been building with Vara a solution that has partners with several dozen hospital groups and diagnostic centers, built probably the largest data set in that space in the world, and basically have built algorithms that analyze these mammograms, these basically radiological images, and now with the workflow solution can support the doctors to make much less mistakes, but also work much quicker. And this product we brought to the market, it's already running in actually probably more than 15% of the screening centers in Germany, and also in quite a few other European countries. And right now we're actually going to North and South America. So, it's a very typical AI application. It's about collecting the data. It's about making sure, obviously, everything is GDPR compliant, making the algorithms, making them really robust, but also embedding it into a workflow with the doctors, which are not always the easiest customers. Then second company, as you mentioned, like, autonomous driving is a big theme, is Search, their data management solution, working with many car manufacturers on basically helping to better organize the data that comes from the cars, especially automated cars, so camera data, LiDAR data. And the interesting part is that you can imagine it's a bit like Google Photos. When you have your holiday photos, you have tens of thousands of photos and you probably only care about a few. And there's a lot of duplicates and a lot of stuff that is not so interesting. And similarly, Search helps you to really find what's interesting, what you should keep, what you should throw away, what you should maybe further label to work with that data properly. Then more recently, we launched Cambrium. We're a big believer in synthetic biology and have been recently opening up an automated lab right out of Berlin, where we develop novel protein materials. So the idea is that basically we can use the sequence data from proteins to predict what material properties they might have, and then basically use machine learning to predict how we should change the sequences such that they get better material properties. And that is very interesting in many industries. There's obviously applications in pharma and the biomedical space and the food space. And the first space we have been actually focusing on is the cosmetics industry, where we've developed a vegan collagen that is basically is not only vegan, so plant-based, but also has much better material properties. And we're right now scaling that up and then working also on a few new materials there. So very different data, basically sequence data, but very exciting. And I think a lot you can do with biology there. Causa is a company we've also been building recently that is in the KPI monitoring space. So it helps companies to understand KPI changes, because you can imagine now all the companies are collecting a lot of data, but it's very hard to actually understand, why did my conversion in my e-commerce company suddenly drop? And usually you go to the business analyst team and they then do an analysis, try to understand what is the driver, why is this KPI gone worse? And the hypothesis is that basically these analysis steps business analysts then do are always conceptually the same. You look at trends over time, you look at outliers, you look at subsegments, and Causa really tries to automate that. And it's a very hard and ill-posed problem because it's very hard to say what's interesting, and it could be different for different people. But we have been right now mostly working actually with gaming companies, a few e-commerce companies, and slowly ramping that up. And then, with Merantix Labs, we build customized AI solutions. So that's, across industries, also across sizes of customers, quite a few Fortune 500 clients, but also some actually quite small startups. We also use this a bit to explore more strategically new industries we are excited about. And then more recently, like actually just in the last 3 months, we started two new companies. One is Brink, that is a regulatory tracking platform. So as we know, there's a lot of new regulation coming out, with ESG, with all the supply chain laws, and that's actually quite challenging for companies to really keep the overview and understand what is affecting them and how it should affect them. And so you can imagine Brink like a crawler that understands all this data and then tells you exactly for your business what you should apply. So that actually also new regulations get adopted faster, which obviously has a very good impact on the society or the world overall. And lastly, Terra Lumina, it's a company also we recently started that is basically applying the drug discovery pipeline to the food and nutraceutical space, because a lot of people, or like everyone, is eating more healthy. Nutraceuticals are becoming more important. We really want to understand how food and also nutraceutical work on our body. And there's actually a lot you can learn from pharma, from synthetic compounds. And so we are applying that to the natural compound space and trying to there understand how they get impacted. There's lots of new areas we're exploring. Right now we have 3 founders and residents we work with, very different industries. And yeah, I think overall we recently SoftBank joined us as an investors, which is obviously great for also scaling our efforts. And we actually want to build 10 more companies in the next 2 to 3 years. So right now very much ideating on new companies and trying to validate them and bringing them to the market. And lastly, to wrap this up, as was mentioned, we've been always co-locating our companies because we believe a lot in this exchange between the companies. And through that, basically the idea of the AI campus was born, which is the space we are in. It's for a bit more than 500 people in the heart of Berlin. And it's really about bringing different types of AI companies together from various industries, also various types of companies. So it could be super early companies that were just spun out of university. Tina will talk about that later. But it could also be companies that are a bit more mature. We have also some teams from large Fortune 500 companies here that have a dedicated AI team here. So I really have a diversity there across all dimensions of AI, which I think leads to a lot of interesting knowledge exchange, but also obviously opportunities to do business with each other. And so yeah, we are right now ramping that community up, and there's already a lot of interesting companies and partners. And with this also would obviously be super interesting to deepen the bridge also towards China, because I think there's similarly a lot of opportunities maybe to connect with similar hubs in China, or connect individual companies or initiatives between the AI campus and Asia more broadly, or China more specifically. So thank you very much. Looking forward to the panel and the other presentations before that, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Rasmus, for opening the event with this very interesting keynote. I think that's really a value for, at least for Berlin, to having this campus, this initiative here. Let's now move and do the island hopping. Let's now move over to Shanghai. Sorry, I have to sometimes sneak into my notes since we have quite a few people here. So we will connect now. I hope that they are already online to Shanghai. We have the Zhangjiang group over there, and more specifically, we have Mr. Zhao Dang there. He is the director of the business center of the Zhangjiang group and the secretary of the Zhangjiang AI Chamber of Commerce. He has a rich experience in developing the industry parks, planning them, and so on and so forth. He established he led the team to establish the Zhangjiang AI Island, which already attracted quite well-known industry leaders from the Western side. We definitely know Microsoft, but also I think names we already are aware of, Alibaba and Baidu. Besides that, it's quite a new topic. They developed the Zhangjiang Robot Valley, which already also attracted big players like ABB and many more other robotics companies. And all on his way, he brings a vast experience in helping these startups to grow and also to raise investments. So let's now give Mr. Zhao Dang the stage to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, dear guests and friends. On behalf of Shanghai Zhangjiang Group, I would like to thank you very much for honoring us your presence at this seminar. And
so maybe do you have a presentation?
Yeah, we are already sharing the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, we can only see your folder. It's not the presentation. maybe you want to open the presentation.
Can
you see the PPT?
you see the slide?
No, no.
我已经在共享了。
Wait a minute.
Wait, please wait. But I'm already sharing the screen. So
Maybe you want to try to unshare and then do it again. So for the audience, please be patient. It's quite common because I mean, more or less we're also living in two different tech ecosystems, and usually it works quite well.
Lars, can you authorize us the right to share the screen?
I think you're already sharing the screen. You have the right.
他说我们有权限。
Yeah. Okay. Maybe shall we show the? Maybe you can try now again. Just open the presentation and then
Please.
your screen. Click on the presentation.
Can you see it?
Yes, looks great. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Well, let's begin my topic. It has been more than 怎么放音？
就你不用动，因为你这个是我要继续，你就要讲就可以。
Okay. It has been more than 60 years since the concept of AI was introduced for the first time. Among these years, machine learning, big data, and other technologies have stimulated the rapid development of AI. AI plus application has become an indispensable part of our lives. Products combining AI technology not only enhance the working efficiency and the life quality, but also facilitated the transformation in other fields. In automobile industry, autonomous driving technology has gradually become the focus. It is estimated that 21 million cars with autonomous driving technology will be sold globally by 2035. Many companies try to seize the opportunity and join the market. I hope through this seminar, we can exchange the latest insights, brainstorm about the challenges, and explore more opportunities for Sino-German cooperation. And next, our company's project manager, Chelsea, the girl beside me, will give you a further introduction to China's artificial intelligence industry and autonomous driving. As an example. So next, my colleague Chelsea will give you a more specific introduction.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm the project manager of Shanghai Zhangjiang Group. And today I'm going to introduce on this topic, AI and science-based startups China perspective by using Shanghai Zhangjiang Island as an example. According to Forest Civilian, the global market scale of AI reached $233.5 million and is growing year by year. With the rapid development of internet and artificial intelligence technology in automobile industry, the global fourth revolution in the automobile industry is ongoing. How do AI and science-based startups grow and survive in China? I will discuss this topic by using our Zhangjiang Science City and AI Island as an example. First, I will give you a big picture of this whole industry in China. In 2009, Google started to begin R&D on autonomous driving technologies. Many science-based companies follow its movement and start their own business in this field. Influenced by this, Baidu has launched its Deep Learning Research Institute, targeting at research on autonomous driving, which is an embryo stage for this industry in China. In 2015, Baidu set up the Autonomous Driving Department, storing talents for China's autonomous driving. These talents later became business owners of many startups related to autonomous driving industry. In April this year, an autonomous driving company named TuSimple successfully went public in US stock market, NASDAQ. According to research conducted by EcoOcean, China autonomous driving is now at the transition stage from technology period to product period. Basic technologies are growing gradually. At the same time, scenario applications have been initially developed. Most of China's autonomous driving companies are at the Series A and B funding stages, as you see from this picture. The development of China's autonomous driving technologies is strongly influenced by three key factors: good regional automotive industry base, highly concentrated capital distribution, and highly supportive regional policies. And later I will illustrate these points by using our Science City and AI Island as an example. So our company, Shanghai Zhangjiang Group, is in charge of this Science City called Zhangjiang Science City, which covers an area of 222 square kilometers. And it has a very beneficial location located very close to Shanghai city center and to airport, with a few metro lines, bus lines, and highways surrounding it. And within this science city, we try to form three specialized clusters: scientific research cluster, digital information cluster, and the third one, life science and health cluster. Within our science city, there are more than 24,000 companies registered. Among them, there are 169 foreign R&D centers. And among these enterprises, there are more than 70 unicorn companies. Of course, government policies plays a crucial role in building this science city, and autonomous driving technology is expected to be a new development opportunity for China to evolve from an automobile big country to automobile strong country. So far, autonomous driving is the core impetus for the innovation of the automobile industry in China. On government level, Chinese government has paid much attention to the development of this industry by listing it into the national strategy. And the government offers policies of a combination of benefits in following area. On the national level, government policies offer support for the development of science city, showcasing independent innovation. And on the municipal and industry district level, startups can gain fiscal financial support from both Shanghai and Pudong governments, respectively. And apart from that, Shanghai government, Pudong government, and our Zhangjiang Science City also provide startups with various support services, ranging like, for example, offer them application scenarios. For example, for companies related to autonomous driving, they want to do trials on roads. So they come to us, they talk to us, and they talk to the government, and we work together to offer them application scenarios. We open some roads for them to do trials, and we open some industrial parks for them to do trials on their products. And we also do cross-industry connection and also help supply and demand meet. For example, like a company, if they want to find a supplier, we also search in our network to help them with that. We also build business connection. And from this picture, it's about our AI cluster. This area is called Zhangjiang Science City's AI cluster. Also, we call it Smart Valley. In this area, there are more than 900 companies operating their business there. And there are more than 50,000 employees working in this area, 50,000 employees. And among these companies, there are a few globally tech giants like Microsoft, IBM, Alibaba, and so on. And the core part of this area is innovation engine Shanghai Zhangjiang AI Island, which also I will show a video to you later. And with these big tech giants, we form talent programs to cultivate specialized AI talents. And this is AI plus business to help AI companies to build their brand image and to help them enter the Shanghai market. And these science hall and AI pavilion are for exhibition, and talent apartments are for to offer employees cheap renting prices and easy commute within this area. And this is the picture of this AI island. Lars, can you play the video of AI island?
更高效。未来，这里将成为上海人工智能企业最集聚、技术最先进、人才最密集、应用最深入的地方，带动张江中区加快集聚人工智能、大数据、云计算、区块链、VR、AR 等数字产业，在 AI 加医疗、AI 加文化、AI 加制造、AI 加城市等领域构筑先发优势，打造张江人工智能产业集聚区。未来，张江科学城城市副中心将成为新一轮的产业承载空间和技术应用场景，成为面向未来的智慧城市典范和独一无二的科技 CBD。张江数字产业规模将跃升至1000亿元。活力四射的张江正加速奔向世界人工智能产业竞争主战场。在上海看张江，在张江看世界。
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chelsea and Zhao Dang. I mean, this event is also meant to learn from each other, from both sides. And I think at least what we already can see and learn here is that China has slightly different dimensions. Slightly, I would say. It's beautiful here. Exciting. Yeah, it's just bigger, it's larger. That's why we have also our Bridge to China program. There's a for the German or European tech startups. It's a big market. It's a challenging market. It's not only language and culture wise, but I would even say that you can't be a more different market to have from a German perspective. And still the startups, some of the startups, they should have China at least on their radar. They should have them on their business plan. And that's why we have our own program. And I have my colleague here, Friederike, who will tell a bit about our program. And of course, we have also a little surprise, not surprise, a sneak preview.
Thank you, Lars. Yeah, for those of you who might not know our program yet, just a few words about what we're doing with the program. So we from Humboldt-Tech Bridge started exactly last year at the Asia Berlin Summit 2020 with our first market decoding program for science-based startups, which we named Bridge to China. So on this day, we're celebrating our first birthday. And the program is the first internationalization initiative by the startup services of all Berlin universities. So that's Humboldt University, Technische Universität, Freie Universität, and Charité. And over the course of the last year, we had our first batch running, and we had 10 science-based startups participating, and they took part in our online seminars. They had mentoring sessions. They got a pitch training, and we gave them the stage to pitch their idea on an online conference in front of a Chinese audience. And now, as Lars already mentioned a bit, I have great news for you, because at this moment, the second call is open. So if you are a science-based startup, or if you have a university background and you're interested in the Chinese market, please feel invited to apply to our program. What can you expect from the program? It's first of all going to be online seminars on important topics such as IP protection, on market entry strategies, but also on business culture in China. Secondly, you'll get one-on-one mentoring sessions with our China experts, and we have around about 30 experts in our pool that will be doing the mentoring sessions. And finally, you will get the chance to win your ticket to China by pitching on an online conference, which will be taking place in December this year. So, oh, I forgot, the best of it, the program is free of charge. So please feel invited to apply. My colleague Tina will be posting the application link in the chat right now. And now I have some more great news for you, because you are the first ones to get a sneak peek in our next major milestone, which is the Humboldt-Tech Bridge Accelerator in Shanghai, which we will be launching in December this year. And let me just share my screen with you. Just a second. And here we go. So those were the first images of our office space on the AI Island in on the Zhangjiang Science City Park, which Chelsea presented to us earlier. So just to repeat this, if you are interested, if you're a science-based startup and interested in the Chinese market, apply to our program. You will get the chance to work in the office space you just saw on the video. And that said, I think it was enough advertising for today. I will give the mic back to my colleague Lars.
Can there be enough advertisement about this great program? I'm not really sure. Let me give you a small comment on this, because you've seen in the video the chairs are empty. Of course, you know, at the moment it's hard to travel, but we are very optimistic that as soon as possible we go and visit China, and then the seats, the chairs you have seen could be yours. So make sure to apply. So now it's enough for advertisement. So now I would like to wrap up the first part of our event, and basically the keynotes and introduction, who's actually here, what ecosystems do we have. And I would like to start with the startup pitches. As I said earlier, we invited 2 startups from each country. And from Germany, we have Bright AI. I will not talk too much about what they do, but I would like to briefly introduce the person we have here. We have here Thomas Strottner. He's the head of business development at Bright AI. He joined the company in 2018, so very early. And he brings actually quite a good track record, and he's also working with the really renowned clients, including Renault, Cruise, and Facebook. I think at least Facebook we have all heard. He holds a master's degree in international business and management, and before joining Bright AI, he actually worked for management consultant companies as management consultant at Capgemini, and was advising as a CIO, CTO departments of leading automotive companies. So I think he brings a very good background into this panel later on as well. And we are really curious what Bright AI does. So Thomas, can I ask you to take the stage?
Yes, Lars, thank you very much for the kind introduction. Also, I'm very happy to be here. It's very impressive to see also this Chinese perspective. We are also working also with Chinese companies, so this is very exciting also for me to see this perspective into what you've built there. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. So coming to Bright AI, so we are providing world-leading image and video anonymization powered by generative AI, and today I will show you what that actually means. So at Bright AI, our vision is to protect every identity in public. And you will see that this is actually a very big challenge because a lot of data is being gathered, also data that includes personal information. We were founded in 2017 as a spin-off from Hella. So we were founded in the German automotive industry. And in 2018, we've won an award as Europe's hottest AI startup. And now I think everyone thinks like privacy, maybe not the hottest topic. So it's, I think, a very big achievement with a privacy dedicated topic to win this AI dedicated award, and you will see why. We've also won an award as the most innovative ADAS technology, so very automotive specific, and the German Digital Award by McKinsey and Handelsblatt. What our aim is, we want to enable leaders in AI and computer vision to develop innovative technologies while also protecting identities of people. And also, as Lars said in the introduction, we are also already working with world-leading companies that include Valeo, NVIDIA, Renault, Intel, but not only in the automotive domain, also with leaders, for example, Stryker in the healthcare domain, and also, as Lars mentioned, Facebook AI research. Next week, there will be a big launch of a big data set collected also with universities like the MIT, Carnegie Mellon, where we have anonymized a lot of data for them. Coming back to our topic, cameras, from what we see, are the richest sensors for innovative AI-based use cases. There's not only self-driving cars for which a lot of camera data is being needed, but also, for example, in the retail space where you see concepts like the Amazon Go shop that is full of cameras, and also smart city applications that are used for counting people, tracking people flow, making cities safer, and also creating more automation. But at the same time, there is privacy regulations, and this is for good reasons. Last year, we've compiled a report also together with the German AI Association on privacy laws worldwide. And it's actually quite interesting to see that this is not only a European topic. Sometimes if you talk to people in Germany, it seems to be a very German specific or European topic. But actually, if we look at the world, there's a lot of regulation and there are a lot of changes. So for example, in China, there's recently been introduced a new privacy specific law. I think some of you might have also seen this on the media. Then in California, for instance, there's the California Consumer Privacy Act. So there's also privacy regulation that is very much connected to the GDPR also in the US. So this is not a European specific phenomenon, and we have to deal with this, and companies have to deal with this. And that's why we have to find innovative solutions to actually solve the challenges that also these laws introduce them. So I already mentioned for self-driving cars, you need billions of miles of data. I think Rasmus already introduced SIA Search, one of the Merantix startups that is helping with cataloging and tagging this amount of data. But this also in the first place needs to be collected, this needs to be stored, this needs to be annotated, so sent to labeling companies. So there are a lot of processes involved. Also, cameras there are more and more cameras inside the vehicle. So for example, at the IAA Mobility that happened last month in Munich, I saw a Mobileye robo-taxi that had now 17 cameras. So there's actually a lot of data being recorded with cameras on vehicles. And there was, for example, this report where someone turned a Tesla with the 8 cameras that it has into a surveillance station. So using facial recognition algorithms and license plate detections to actually always track who's around the vehicles. So you can see this is a big challenge, and especially with facial recognition technology improving rapidly. So I think this was a fantasy back in the 50s, 60s. This was like something people never thought would really happen. And now we are there where we actually see that it's quite robust and it's an actual topic. There could be potential solutions to protect yourself against facial recognition, right? So today it's recommended to wear masks outside. So some people argue, now we don't have to worry about it anymore because we are protected. But actually, research has shown now that facial recognition already beats also COVID masks. So even wearing COVID masks, you can be recognized with your face. So that's not a viable approach. It's a viable approach, so wear masks, but not for protecting your identity. Then the second approach, there are people showing that you can actually wear very creative makeup to not be recognized by facial recognition systems, for instance. Yeah, I don't really believe that's a practical approach for everyone to wear anti-facial recognition makeup. So then a third approach could be to pixelate the faces. So I think that's something that we've seen for a longer time, that you can pixelate faces, license plates. But the problem that this creates is when you want to train a neural network, when you want to use image data for developing AI systems like self-driving cars, you don't want to do this on pixelated data. Here on the right side, what you see is a so-called segmentation map by Google. So it's segmenting objects. And when actually, yeah, the colors here are not clearly showing maybe, but this person now after the pixelation shows a bird in the head and there's like a phantom person on the left side. So what's happening when you apply these pixelations, this causes artifacts in the data. So that's also not a viable approach. And I have a case example. So we are working with Valeo, one of the largest tier ones in Europe that are also collecting a lot of data. And they have recently published a data set that's called the Woodscape data set. And they mention here in their publication also that there's a significant risk of violating privacy regulations because we're collecting a lot of data just in public. And that traditional pixelation approaches don't work for them because it's creating artifacts in their training material. So what did they do? To tackle the dilemma, they made use of Bright AI's deep natural anonymization, which creates irreversible replacements so that you have an identity that is protected, but at the same time, you have data that you can work with. So what you see here is on the left side, the images are the original images, original faces, original license plates that you cannot use because it's keeping the original personal identifiers. And then on the right side, you see the natural replacement. So we're using generative AI to create new faces, new license plates that then replace the original identity, but you can use this data for training algorithms or for applying analytics. And if you apply, for example, the facial recognition challenge that I was showing earlier, it's not possible to match these synthetic face identities anymore to the original one. So here you see a trial by Microsoft Azure where they try to match the two faces. And even though the entire background, the hair, the clothing is the same, with a change of the face, you cannot track this person in large data sets. Now, how does it look for the Valeo specific data? This is also being published, so I can show it to you. This is fisheye data, so it's very specific self-driving car data, a very difficult domain. You see this fisheye shape of the image. And on the right side, you see the synthetic PII overlays. So the only pixels that our software is changing are the ones that you see on the right. So it's really, our software is really creating a mask, really an artificial overlay for the face and for the license plate so that you can naturally work with the data, you can send it to annotation, and you can train your algorithms. Here you see another example, and what's interesting here is this is Chinese license plates. So we've also developed this solution for Chinese license plate replacements because, as I mentioned, also in China, this privacy law is very important. And we can also create these natural replacements here. So probably just looking at the image, you would find a natural looking image and you wouldn't even recognize that it was changed. But all the license plates visible in this image were generated by our software and naturally replaced so that the company that we were working with in this case can then afterwards train also their algorithms with this data. Oh, yeah, here you also see it in a video sequence. It's also multi-frame consistent. So it's not only for image data, but it also applies to video data. Yeah, the license plate that is generated is consistent throughout the frames. What you see here on this slide is the same for faces, a short video sequence that shows the multi-frame consistency and also that all the lighting is reflected, that like the emotions, the eyes side of the person is reflected in the artificial face. And that also you can use our technology to augment data. So if you have a data set that is not very diverse, you can also change certain attributes like the age of a person, for instance. So that's what this is showing. And by the way, driver monitoring is also a big topic. So that's another domain that we are working on in automotive. We started to anonymize big data lakes that are mostly used for labeling, that are stored in the research center of automotive companies. We have also conducted initial projects directly on the edge, so directly anonymizing where the data is being recorded on the vehicle. And our vision is to also move this technology not only to all the data that is being gathered, but also to have this in series production vehicles in the future, where we are working on first pilots with companies, how to execute the algorithms directly on the edge, directly on the vehicle. So I hope you found interesting what we do, and if there's maybe a connection in China or in Germany, someone that's interested in using our software also for anonymizing large data sets, then I'm looking forward to speak to you. So feel free to reach out by email or on LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Thomas. It's, I think, really interesting what you do, and probably also quite a cliche topic for a European or German startup, data privacy. That's, I think, what we are known for. Okay, so we had now the German perspective of a German startup in the AI field of autonomous driving. So I would like now to move over again back on the other side of the world. I already can see him. We have here Zhang from Neolix, which is one of the global pioneers in autonomous driving, I would say. Just very simply explained, is what they do is intelligent mobile food carts and mobile shops, which are commercially deployed. Zhang is the director of operations at Neolix, and he's basically responsible for the global expansions. And he brings previously more than 10 years of experience in this field with him. So I don't want to talk too much about the Neolix itself, because I'm very happy that I now can give Scott the stage to present and do the startup pitch.
All right, Lars. So I'm just trying to have you stay for 1 second to see if you can see my slides already. Are they on?
We can see it, not on full screen.
All right, then everything should work. I'm putting it on full screen right now. Is it working?
Full screen? Perfect.
Yeah, all right. Okay, then. So first of all, I'd like to thank Lars and the HTB, and also thank Mr. Zhao and Zhangjiang Group to give us this chance to present our company and also our product, Neolix, our automotive driving vehicles. So about our company, as Lars just introduced, we are having some visions, bringing a smart city way of life to all people by combining autonomous driving, 5G communications, and of course, Internet of Things together. And to be more specific on our vision, as you can see on the next slide, we're trying to make a city running all of our cars, but in different capacities. For example, food cars and retail cars, and also logistic cars and security patrol cars, and also financial services. And to be more specific, I'll show you a video clip of what we're doing right now. So every morning, our vehicles start themselves. And they will drive from the parking lot to the breakfast kitchens, which of course we're using autonomous driving. We can run at most 50 kilometers an hour, but mostly we're running under the safety. And then when we arrive at the kitchen, the staff are filling. And then our vehicles will drive to the here, and also different places. So whenever there are some cars on the road,
哥哥姐姐，今天的饭
and
菜已
mostly
经卖
after
光
dinner,
了，你可以
cars
扫这
will
头
go
二维
back
码关
to
注
the
我哟，
parking
咱们
lot.
明天再见。
So this is one of our projects and of course our major project for our company. So our company started in 2016 and we had our first model of cars launched in 2018. And what you have seen in the video was our third generation already. So our cars are, of course, so this slide actually shows the qualifications of our cars, why our vehicles are L4 grade autonomous vehicles. We have our max speed and, of course, traffic light detection and centimeter localization and all these qualifications. And also we have our own patents, which is essential for an autonomous driving company. And what's more, I think for us, what is unique between us and other competitors or other autonomous driving companies is there are three things, I believe. First of all, we have our own factories, so we manufacture, we build our own vehicles. And secondly, we have our own R&D team to develop our autonomous driving system and also the calculation platform. And thirdly, we have our operations team, of course, and also our IoT team, which helps us to better interact with people, with all the pedestrians, with all our customers, how to better interact, how to better make our vehicles into commercial use. And this is what we are unique from other companies. To introduce more about our factory, of course, first of all, we have our battery factory and also our battery systems in order to ensure our cars to run 24 hours if needed. So each pack of our batteries will run 10 to 12 hours or 100 kilometers. And then we need only 30 seconds to switch to another pack of batteries so we can run another 10 to 12 hours. And then we have this super factory in Changzhou, China. I'm not sure if you know this city, Changzhou. As long as you have watched the Hollywood movie Pacific Rim. So this city, Changzhou, is where they manufacture the giant fighting machines. So actually, this is also where our factory is, and they're actually manufacturing our cars. Our own factory can have an annual capacity of 10,000 vehicles. So this is very essential for us, for number one, to scale up quickly, and number two, to lower our costs. So when we actually are really manufacturing 10,000 vehicles, our cost will be the 1/3 of what we are having now. And actually, we have already saved a lot of costs because we're actually scaling right now. And so how our factory works is that we have this the same cassettes, the same bottom, and then we can actually have different multiple capacities, multiple modules for each scenario. For example, we can sell hot food or cold salad or ice cream, and of course coffee machine, robot arms, and also for security we can have security cameras and anything. It's easy for us to just change our modules within one day, and also logistics I forgot to mention. And also a video clip about our factory. This is where our factory is. And also our computing system, where we build all our cars here. These are the cars without modules. Later they will have their own modules, for example, for logistics or hot food or ice cream or other things. After different testing, Okay, so last part is all about our products and of course about our vehicles. And my second part is about our project right now, which is more of how to explain why we're having this pitch, because I think we're solving some industry challenges. And I believe for each autonomous driving company, we have this the same challenge is how to commercialize our product, how to let them make money. We have different ways. For example, maybe for Google or for Baidu in China, we have robo taxis, but it takes quite a long time to actually commercialize. But for us, we are quite a small startup in the beginning. So we were looking for a way to have a higher frequency of business and also a smarter way, a quicker way to commercialize and to scale. So that's why we picked this intelligent food cars or intelligent shops instead to be the closest mobile services platform to consumers. Our major product is just we mentioned our food cards. So we have already cooperations with Yum Group, with KFC, with Pizza Hut, and Coca-Cola, and other top brands, and also top brands in China. And we also have our public security patrol cars. We have it in China, and we also have a project in Duisburg in Germany. And also we have educational cars, so people in universities can actually learn together how our cars are manufactured and also how they work. So right now we have we are running in more than 30 cities in China, and mostly in Beijing and Shanghai, we have more than 300 vehicles already running in a high density because we want to see how to scale nationwide and worldwide. And also we have different projects in other countries. We have already entered 6 or 7 international markets. So some of our major projects, I'll have a brief on it. Shanghai was our first city to enter thanks to Zhangjiang Group. And we started our food carts in Zhangjiang area. And I think within 2 weeks, people are starting to getting stick to buying breakfast and lunch in our carts because it's really convenient. And then within 2 months, Yum Group came to us for cooperation. So we started our first Pizza Hut car and also our first KFC car in Shanghai. And right now we have already launched the KFC and Pizza Hut cars in more than 10 cities in China. And for Beijing, it's the first city in China to offer public road permits for autonomous vehicle deliveries. And we are the first 3 companies to receive the permit. So that's why we are trying to scale as dense as possible in Beijing. As you can see on the right picture, within 3 kilometers, we are already running 67 vehicles in this area. And actually, on average, each car can bring us 80 to 100 orders per day, including breakfast, lunch, and snacks, and also dinner. And the picture on the left is the cooperation we just started with Coca-Cola Group 2 weeks ago. And the picture in the middle shows one of our cars in Beijing during lunchtime. And actually, you can hardly see the car because there are just too many people lining up here. And that is our projects in China. And also we have some projects internationally, especially in Europe. Our first international project is in Switzerland with Swiss Post. So this project is actually a delivery project to deliver pharmaceutical products from a company called Roche. And also we have another project in Switzerland with a university to sell food. And also we have 2 projects in Germany. One of them is what I've just mentioned, a security patrol car project in Duisburg in a company called DVV. And then we have another retail project in Cologne, working with Vodafone and Rawi, I think, a supermarket chain. So we are right now selling snacks and bottled drinks. And later this year, I think we will have deeper cooperations to sell also hot food. So in the end, I want to explain why we were doing this project. First, of course, to commercialize our vehicles. And secondly, we want to change a way of living. I think this is what can actually bring a big difference to every one of us via autonomous driving. I think what we're doing is making a new way of linking customers, shops, and merchandisers. As I think everyone now is used to, traditionally, the shop is always here, and customers, whether they need to go to the shops and walk 15 minutes or 30 minutes or even more and buy the products and then go back home or go back office, or maybe some people will just order online for delivery and wait for delivery for another 30 minutes so their food or their stuff can be delivered with the cost of some more labor. So what we are trying to do is, number one, the first essential thing is to kill all the costs, the venue costs and labor costs. So the shops are no longer standing there forever, but they're moving. They're moving to wherever the traffic is the most dense. So they're moving to the hottest spots for traffic. So the shops will come to the customers, and all the merchandisers are the selected merchandisers by our AI system or by our algorithms after collecting all the customer data before. So we know what are most likely people will buy in different scenarios. And people will just need to pay, go downstairs and pay and get their stuff and go back to office or go back home. This will only take 2 minutes. And this is what we're trying to change. And what I'm proud of, what I'm proud of and what I'm surprised is actually people really buy our project. People really like our project. We didn't know we could be so popular or we could be so welcomed when we started this program. But in Zhangjiang area, we're more and more likely to have more than 200 orders of breakfast in the morning near the subway station, or even more than 100 orders of breakfast within business parks. Because people really like this idea and people like to try and people stick to it. So I'm really surprised because, first of all, I thought for autonomous driving projects, we need to take time to see the effect. But what we're doing now, we're just changing people, we're changing everything within months. So that's why I really like to share, and I really like to let you know what we are doing and what we are changing to China and hopefully to everyone else, every customer everywhere else. So much for my pitch, and thank you very much. Thank you, Lars. Hello? Hello, Lars, I guess I cannot hear you. There seems to be very... Yeah, we cannot hear you actually.
Lars, we can't hear you, Lars.
Ja, oh nee, das funktioniert. Hallo, hallo, hallo. So, können wir uns jetzt wieder hören? Scott, ich gucke mal auf dich.
Yeah, I can hear you
Scott, I'm
now.
looking at you. So I was talking to you in German. so
Yeah,
so
I
now,
understand
okay,
a bit.
we solved the issue. Thank you so much for your presentation. I already said that it's very impressive to see what the development in the field of autonomous driving is happening in China. We will have now the panel discussion for the audience. You already see we're sitting here now in our round. We have a lot of people here to share our opinion, to give a comment on that. And you see in the middle of us, we have here Tina Klüver, which I would like to introduce shortly. We are very interested to hear what you do, but let me just, for the audience, Tina Klüver is recently started or joined the project, the new project of Science and Startups, which is a program together with the Berlin University Alliance together to manage a AI project for the academic startups here in Berlin. We will hear a bit more. Before, she was working as a researcher in the field of AI for more than 10 years. She was co-founder of her own AI startup called Parlamind, as well as a board member of the KI Bundesverband, the AI Association of Germany. So I think we have a very competent partner here to sit here in the panel. After this, I will introduce one more person, but I would like to, before I hear, Tina, from your side, a bit more about your project, I would like to ask you one question. Like, if you would have such a Neolix mobile card here cruising around, what would you put in?
Hey, yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here today. Yeah, that was quite impressive. I very much liked the presentation, Scott. Thanks a lot. And all the others as well. So what would I like to have? I'm a vegetarian, so I would love to have all those fancy breakfast stuff, including avocados and things. So that would be great to have. But I'm pretty sure whatever the offer would be, it would be a success here too. So I like that very much. And I think there's a big potential in that area of autonomous driving that is not B2C, like for the personal use of your own car, but more on the B2B field. So there I see a big potential, and that's just one of the use cases you have shown, and there are so many others. And I think there's many things to expect in that field of autonomous driving. Yeah, I would love to have that here in Berlin too, actually, the cars. Yeah.
So Scott, you have to come here. Okay, could you tell us a bit more about your AI project in general, the Science and Startups?
Sure. So we have recently launched a new accelerator that should help and support startups and potential founders and founder teams from the universities, the Berlin universities, to help them to grow and to help them to be successful. Because what we've seen here is basically we have a lot of good research at the universities. We have actually a whole lab focusing on autonomous driving as well in Berlin. And there's many more things that we do regarding artificial intelligence. And still there's a certain, I would say, a certain level of lag that we have to transfer that into companies, into dissemination in the economics. And that's something that we focus on. So we would like to bring all the great stuff that we have in research here. We want to bring it into companies. We want to found startups with those new and great ideas, because we know that there's a lot of potential for disruptive companies and disruptive business models in there. And we want to bring that into economics. So if you're a startup focusing on artificial intelligence, using artificial intelligence for whatever business domain, and you're looking for an accelerator, you're looking for something, people that help you to bring that to the market, to help you to grow, then please feel free to contact us. Science and Startups is the name, and our new AI project will start a new batch of the acceleration in Q2 next year.
Exciting, so much support here for the startups. Great to hear that. So maybe also for the audience, that you're basically based here in the Merantix in the AI campus. So you will see these two persons on the right from your screens. They see each other quite often. So then we have one more person here to bring into the large panel. We have here Grace Che. She is working for ContiTech, which is part of the Continental Group. She's based in China now, and she is the innovation manager. So she is, to put in very simple words, scouting for innovation and for startups. And she also brings many years of experience working previously with European or Western automotive companies. So Grace, welcome. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Can you tell us a bit more
good
about?
Morning, I think.
Yeah. Here's good morning. Yeah, looking forward to the lunch soonish. Yeah. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do with ContiTech China as an innovation manager?
Okay, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me well and also watch me.
Yeah, everything works.
Okay, that's great. So I joined Continental 2 years ago and responsible for China innovation projects. And in the past 2 years, we mainly focused on the new technologies and especially for the startups who owns the new technologies. And Neolix, I think your project is really amazing, and I see a lot of interesting point for your autonomous driving food car, let's say. And as an industry company or manufacturing company, when we consider AI, we more consider about how to use AI technology in our production line. And we are a part supplier for the whole machine. And we would like to also enable our customer or the manufacturer of the machine be more intelligent in their different scenarios. For example, we are working on the innovation projects using AI technology in the wind power machine. And in wind power machine, you understand that it is running far away from the city, far away from the downtown. So it's always a challenge for them to deliver the quick service and also, let's say, the proved service. And then it enabled a big demand from the market that could you please let your part intelligent enough so that before it is broken, can you give me some warnings and some signals to let me prepare for the breakdown so that can reduce the cost. So a lot of demand and the challenges we see from the market, they would like to make the whole system intelligent enough so that also challenges the part supplier like us. And looking to the automotive industry, we are looking for the L4 and L5 autonomous driving level. But at this moment, we see the challenges, and we also believe it is a big opportunity for the company like Continental. We have a great technology in ADAS system, and we would like to also continue this strength so that we also proactively look into the market to see that maybe there is a startup like Neolix or other startup company, they own their patent technology that can also empower our ADAS system more intelligent and to be the let's say, the leading technology in the autonomous automotive industry. So I think it's a really interesting topic, a lot of interesting topic today, and I'm looking forward to listening more insights from your side.
Yeah. Okay, we will come back on, especially on solving the industry challenges and what you're looking for the startups. So now we have our group together. We have Rasmus Rothe, we have Tina Klüver, we have Thomas Strottner, Scott Zhang, Grace Che, and then I think Zhao, Chelsea is also connected, yeah? There. So that's quite a large panel. So maybe first, I would like to see now here in this round, are there any comments or questions to the startups you would like to comment, Neolix or Brighter AI? If you want.
Yeah, both great presentations. I think, I mean, for Brighter, I think there's a lot of interesting use cases. And I mean, we discussed it quickly earlier. I mean, you know, autonomous driving is an obvious one, but there's also interesting application in the medical space and probably many other industries. So I think it's great to see how it's been developing and how it's also, I guess, easier for people to just plug it into their solution. I think things get much more modularized, and so even though you might develop a medical application, there's no point of you doing everything yourself. So if you can build upon Brighter from a technology perspective, plug that into your solution, and also thereby they make sure that it's all GDPR compliant. That's like a great value add also for other companies. So I think everything is getting much more plug and play, which is great. And then for Neolix, also super impressive. I think, as Tina said, the whole kind of like logistics and B2B space is super interesting. And yeah, I think we would love to have one of your robots around the AI campus here in Berlin. So maybe we should think later, because there's certainly one issue on the area. There are not that many restaurants here yet. So we're getting actually a food robot very soon that is preparing around 100 meals an hour with a few robotic arms. So maybe anything that robot can't prepare, we can work with you, Scott, and bring some nice food here. So yeah, would love to connect on this after the panel.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, actually, you can even put the robotic arm on our car as well if you want.
Yeah, so even combine it.
Yeah.
My bet would be to put a kebab place in it, find a robot to put kebab, because you know, maybe for the Chinese, like, kebab is very famous for Berlin. So I think everyone eats that. I also think that what I personally like about this, because you develop a technology which is very valuable for countries with high labor costs, and this is definitely Germany or Europe. Yeah, so that's great. Then maybe I would like to look at you, Thomas, because we are talking about industry challenges. When developing your solution, what was the most challenging part of your startup to get your product on the way? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think it's really about getting the acceptance in the market, because the product that we have is so disruptive and so new, because people know like pixelating faces, and then why would you use synthetic replacements? So for us, it was a lot of explaining in the beginning, having POCs with companies, actually finding the first use cases where there's really a fit. So I think that was the kickstart and the beginning. And now it's more about scaling it, because companies understand the value. And companies understand the benefits and the pricing and everything. So now it's really about scaling the solution to different use cases, different companies, different countries as well.
Yeah, that's great. I think acceptance is something Scott also mentioned. We already have seen a picture how this is accepted in China. Scott, can you tell us a bit more about your first step experience, like when you put first time? At the end of the day, you put a machine with the AI on the road and tell the people, please don't buy anything from a human, but buy from a machine. I mean, you could say that's could be a bit spooky, you know, it's one of these futuristic thoughts. But how did the people react on the first time? And how's it?
Yeah, it was a very interesting story, actually. I would also like to share, because Last year we started our project. Day one was 28th of June last year. So we were really optimistic that time. We called our CEO, our CIO, all of our O's there to see us how our project will run. So we prepared. Actually, the first day we only had one cart outside, and we prepared around 40 breakfasts, and we stood there for half an hour, but no one bought it. Everyone just looked, and then they will think about it and then go away. So it was really embarrassing because we got all our leaders there, and we want to show them how this will work, but actually it didn't work. So it was so embarrassing. We tried to every method to navigate people. So we didn't directly say, please buy a car, please buy a breakfast in our autonomous driving car. We only tell them by a hint. Whenever they get out from the subway station, we speak to them to say, oh, there's a car in front. They're driving autonomously and they are selling breakfast. So they will be interested. And when they see the car, they stood there, they looked, and they tried to scan. So for the first 2 or 3 days, we had one employee of ours just to stand beside the car to tell them how to use it, how to scan the QR code, and how to purchase it and purchase your breakfast, which is actually another labor cost. So it went for less than 1 week, and then it was, I think the 4th day or the 5th day, it was raining really badly. It was really raining badly, and because it was still at the first stage, so every one of us just stood beside, and we were really pessimistic that day because we thought the weather is too bad and there are not many people will buy our stuff. But actually, from the 4th day on, people walk by and they don't ask anything and they do nothing. They just go through, they just come by and then scan the code, and after 5 seconds, they take their breakfast and then go away. And I think within 1 hour, we sold out all our breakfast, and then we started add more inventory every day, add more, and then we started from selling 30 orders per day to 200 per day. Just, I think what really surprised me, because for day one, we thought we can do very well, but actually we didn't sell. We only sell 1 or 2 orders. And on day 4, when we thought we can only sell less than 10 orders, we sold out 30 orders very quickly. So first, we were too optimistic about how people will react when they see our car at first sight. And then the other thing is we were too pessimistic of how fast people will get used to buying stuff from our cars. So that was a really interesting story, and it happened everywhere. It happened in Shanghai, and then it happened in Beijing and everywhere. People at first, they hesitate, and second day they hesitate, and third day, people start lining up and buying our stuff. It was really a fun experience for me and a surprising experience.
Yeah, that's probably the same what also Thomas said, that it's about the acceptance of the new technology, which is probably also a challenge for most of them. Yeah, and there's something coming very new. Maybe I can direct this question more towards Grace now. You are looking into like precisely finding startups and new technologies. So it's quite interesting from my point of view that we have here now a larger corporate seeking to solve industry challenges and basically look for startups who already solved that and then work together with them. Could you tell us a bit more about the industry challenges you really want to tackle? Do you have some examples?
As I said before, actually, we are not only focused on the automotive industry, but also the other rest of the manufacturing industry. And I just said that, for example, the wind power machine, but actually we also have business in the oil and gas. And we recently defined the food chain processing as one of our growth fields. And inside the food chain processing industry, we know that the food is produced, and how to, as much as possible, to maintain the fresh as much as possible is a challenge. And I think maybe this is also for Scott. We consider the breakfast, the lunch, the dinner. Our unique selling point is that we can, as much as possible, to keep it as fresh as possible. So also considering in the food chain processing, they are currently delivering the whole, let's say, finished good in the, let's say, the truck or the other big machines. But if we can deliver door-to-door service, for example, there is small factory around, there is a small factory that can located in, let's say, the area of apartments, so that we can deliver routinely, regularly to the, let's say, the residents over there. And for example, the milk, the breakfast, we don't need to even take it in the subway station, but as soon as I live in my home, I already have breakfast in my hand, and that is hot and fresh. I think that is also another opportunities we can see. And but regarding the Neolix product, I still see that there is a big challenge. For example, in China, we have Ele.me, Meituan, you know, the delivery service is quite good, right? And it just take 30 minutes to get the food, which is produced by any restaurant around my apartment. So how to compete with this delivery service, you know? Maybe for some people who is scared or don't want to interact with people, I think your service or your solution could be a big advantage. But at this moment, I think more and more people, due to COVID-19 issue, more and more people would like to say hello to someone else and have some human interactions. I think that could be another, let's say, balance or the challenges for your service. And I just mentioned that in our industry, we have a lot of challenges, but we always coming from the pain point from our end user, especially for the breakdown cost, which is huge, right? Starting from that, and we collect all the information through sensors, through the images that can help our customer to identify the failure mode, and then with AI technology, then we can come up with the predictive maintenance solutions. I think that is the thing I would like to share with you. And yeah, maybe go back to Scott. I think that is quite a frequent a question to you, how to compete with the delivery service we have in China.
Yeah, thank you, Grace. Yeah, it's true. It's a question we always being asked by everyone, actually. But actually, for example, taking breakfast as an example, we never compete with the delivery service, because people don't so often buy delivery service for breakfast. And for lunch, we have surveys. We have surveys once, twice, I think already 4 times, about how often do people eat? Do they eat in canteens? Do they take deliveries? Or do they go outside to some street restaurants? And actually, I think our result was more than 50% of our share, our own orders came from people who like to eat canteens. So we are actually offering another choice for everyone. So that's what we are saying as a delivery service. So for delivery service, you can actually offer 100 choices to a person who wants to have lunch, instead of having same thing every day in canteen. And we are doing the same, but actually we cannot offer 100 choices. We can only offer 4 choices or 8 choices, 10 choices. But we found out it doesn't matter that much, because even when you have 100 choices from the delivery, but most people will always choose the top 10 or top 5. So what we are doing is we only provide the top 5 or top 10. So we take some shares from people who like to eat in canteens, but they don't really have other choices. And then we take part of the shares for people who like to eat from deliveries, who like to have more choices, but who don't want to wait for another 30 minutes. Because sometimes you think 30 minutes is only half an hour, you can wait for it. But when you can buy something that is your choice within 15 seconds, you will love it. So that's why I think we take shares from these two canteens and also delivery service. So that's how we live, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Scott. I think that's quite interesting. So we already know that if you come to Germany, you definitely have to put some veggies in.
Sure. We already
to make
have
people happy here. Yeah, I would like to also looking now at Chelsea, representing the Zhangjiang Group. I think it's. Do you know? Have you ever bought something from this shopping cart? Have you already tried it, Chelsea?
Yeah, I tried it once. It was very convenient.
Very
and
good.
also like the food is quite tasty.
Yeah.
I think their company like knows the customers' demands quite well. Must have done like lots of market research.
Yeah, we already talked a bit about like there's different culture, different markets, and in your area you're working a lot with not only with Chinese startups or Chinese companies, but also with Europeans and Germans. And do you see any like a difference in approaching the challenges to move on with the topic a bit? Do you see a difference, like how do Chinese startups approach a problem, approach a challenge compared to European, probably more conservative from your perspective?
I think like in China, because based on my past experience in cooperation with startups, and Chinese startups, they have closer relationship with us and with the government. So sometimes if they have facing some challenges in their own industry, they come to us like to work together to seek any solutions. Whereas like for European companies, maybe like due to your society is more individualism. So like maybe like so when European companies face some challenge, like they don't come to us directly, like they don't come to like our government directly, but maybe they just try to solve the challenge themselves first. I witnessed this difference between Chinese companies and European companies. And also I think maybe that's the difference of like different ways of thinking, like the Eastern and Western companies approach to solve problems in different ways and in different approaches. That's why like we handle things in differently.
Okay, so there's definitely different mindset and approach, yeah. I
Mm-hmm.
think that this based on the cultural dimension. Thomas, I think you already said that you have projects with China as well. Do you have experience with that? Like how do they look at your startup and then compare it maybe to a German?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting also to see the big companies. So we work with a Chinese OEM now, and they're very execution driven, very hands-on. And I think also to defend the German automotive industry, there's the biggest transformation that the industry has ever seen. And I think the companies are really trying. So I think if you look at Volkswagen and these big companies, they're really changing because there's not only autonomous driving, there's also electrification. So these companies have a lot of different challenges. So I would defend them in that way. And I think they're making a lot of progress with electric vehicles, with autonomous driving. But when it comes to the cooperation, like working with a German OEM, for instance, or working with a Chinese company, a large Chinese company, I have the impression that there's more execution focus, more pragmatism, more speed in execution. And that's something that I'm observing from the client conversations that we have.
Yeah, that's also what we always hear, that at least from the competition point of view, over there it's more fierce, yeah, and they're more streamlined. And maybe now looking at you, Tina, we have seen that this example of Neolix now, they are quite far in their development. It's already on the street. Nevertheless, when we look at the research on autonomous driving and AI related, then Germany is actually quite on the top. Actually, I looked at a Nature Index even ahead of China. So that means we have all the knowledge and the competences and the research projects here. Yet we don't see it on the street. And now also making the bridge that China said we want to have 60%, or I don't have the clear number, but they have a very ambitious goal to have a large number of cars on the road within the next 10 years, which are already to a certain level in autonomous driving cars. So the question now is maybe, are we not setting ambitious goals for us, because you're also representing the KI Bundesverband? Are the goals, the objectives we have not ambitious enough to give the scientists a clear target and say, like, we have to achieve this target in this year here in Germany?
Yeah, well, I think you actually got the point in one of the first sentences already. And as I already said in the beginning, so we have a lack of transfer. We have quite good research, but it's not always easy in Europe and in Germany especially to bring that into a commercial dissemination. So that's actually a big issue, and I think we can do a lot better. But for example, in this case, I'm actually not totally sure if that would if we in Germany would actually be able to have those nice food carts running around autonomously here. I mean, Erasmus, I would love to have them here at the campus, but I'm actually not sure if we are allowed to have them on the streets, right? I mean, in Germany, it's not like you can go with an autonomous car wherever you want. It's just not allowed. We have a very strict policy about what's doable and what's not. And we have certain, of course, we all know there are certain levels of autonomous driving, and there is a possibility to to adapt to certain level 1, level 2, I think, but everything else is, as far as I know, not allowed on the public streets. So I think that's actually one of the, from my perspective, and also from what we always aim for from the German Association of Artificial Intelligence, it's one of the things that makes it really hard to bring research into startups, into really like the economical dissemination of that, because there's so much regulation that you have to take into consideration, and it really takes a while to get there.
Yeah, maybe to add that, and also what Tina said and what Chelsea said earlier, I think like one of, I guess, the advantages in China is that there's like closer collaboration between the government and companies, and that has been for many like previous generations of like tech companies not so important, but is particularly important for AI, because you end up being introducing critical decision making, whether it's, you know, driving in the street, whether it's like critical decision making in the healthcare space. And obviously these spaces are regulated, or there's some regulations anywhere in the world, and these regulations need to be adapted, need to be changed. They need to be, you know, like kind of playgrounds where you can try out new things. And there we just see, especially in Europe, that the regulators moving very slow and very reactive. And so that creates a lot of uncertainty for the companies, both in terms of fundraising, but also in terms of even customers adopting their solutions. So we need to move kind of basically the policymakers and the tech companies close together. And that's also like one of the reasons, or one of the things we try here on the AI campus, and kind of bringing people from the regulator in here and seeing, okay, you know, here are 10 concrete companies working on AI applications, these are the challenges with regards to data privacy, with regards to liability of AI solutions, to then quickly be able to adopt those. So I think that's super important. And then on the second point, with regards to research transfer, I mean, like one thing what you said, Lars, is like setting goals, but like honestly, people need to set them goals themselves. Like if you tell entrepreneurs, hey, here, your goal should be 10x larger, that's nice. But like if the entrepreneur is not driven themselves to kind of, you know, go with a crazy big vision and think big and like work really hard, then you will never get that person there, because the journey is too painful for that. So you need to kind of spark this intrinsic motivation. I think we're just still too comfortable, because we still have, you know, our DAX 30 companies, our car manufacturers that are here and they're doing stuff, and like many other large companies. And you know, also seeing now with Neolix and like, you know, how things are happening in China, in the US, we need to just move much faster here. And I think, yeah, we don't have that much time left. So we need to encourage much more just entrepreneurs building companies and thinking big. And that probably starts very early in university already, or probably even earlier.
So it's fostering the, let me go very quickly back to this regulatory topic. I just, there's a quite interesting article on Nikkei Asia about autonomous driving in China. There's a famous person, lawyer, Mark Schaub, and he basically stated that if you in China, if you follow the regulations, then you basically are 6 months behind. So what you need to do is you need to be always ahead. And it seems also that the law gives a bit more freedom to play around. Maybe it is not immediately approved. And now comes this disclaimer for don't do this at home. But is this an option for us or for our ecosystem here in Germany, that we say we give these highly innovative startups more space and a free regulatory space, that we say?
I mean, like they're the concept, they're all over the AI strategy. The word of sandbox, like, you know, it's probably mentioned like 100,000 times now. When you want to build an application, you're like, hey, I want to use the sandbox, like it's unclear who to call. It's like very simple problem, right? Like I want to call somebody and be like, okay, now how can I employ the sandbox? And you end up calling like 10 different people and they all refer you to somebody else. And at some point you become circular and realize, okay, I'm not going to get anywhere. So there's like no ownership on kind of on the government or regulator side. That's very frustrating. Plus you have kind of, I guess, like, you know, the municipality level, and then you have the federal level. And so there's just no ownership on the other side of somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to drive this. And I can also have the decision power, because one of the challenges is that for like healthcare, a lot of the regulation is in the Ministry of Justice, is in the health ministry, some is with the economic affairs. So you end up going between these different ministries and then some other certification agencies. And there's not just like a single point of contact that can make a decision. And that's frustrating. So I think hopefully with the next government, some of these things are pulled more together. So you can actually have this point of contact that makes a decision.
So we are on the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Then also, I would like to use this chance here of that was not meant to. We just wanted to give you a short break to digest the information. I would also like to use this chance to on both sides, maybe to to give the China side the chance to talk to the German startups. Maybe looking at Chelsea. Would you have any recommendation, like for if we have now startups in the AI field, autonomous driving, and they're seeking to explore China? Is there any way you can give a recommendation, like at what stage should they come to China? How can you help them, and what do they find in your spot?
So first I talked about market. I think like in Europe, it has more innovative environment, very encouraging new technologies and talents to cultivate. And for China, we are more open to new technologies. And here in China, it's a very potential large market for AI products. And here also venture capitals are very open-minded for new startups. And we also open, especially like government, are very cooperative in opening application scenarios, as well as welcome foreign high-tech talents to come to China. Also the government and us offer financial support to help science-based startups to grow here. I'll give you an example. TMI Technology is a robotics company doing manufacturing intelligent disinfection robot. And so during the COVID period, during the global pandemic, its product have been largely used in many hospitals in Shanghai as well as in China. So Shanghai government and our company, Shanghai Group, help TMI Technology to reach their clients, to enter these hospitals and to open application scenarios for them. We also, our company also joined their funding stage to invest on this company. We also, because we have a subsidiary doing investment on good projects. Besides, now it's we also offer tutorials to this company because this company wants to go public in Shanghai store market. We also offer tutorials and to stimulate their relationship with the government. I think talking about startups doing business in China, I think the most important part is that we think differently. We have different ways of thinking. For example, like for European startups, they have, when they consider to join the Chinese market, they usually have mature products. Then they consider to join the Chinese market instead of just basically have an idea. But for Chinese startups, maybe they just have an idea and they come to us and they talk to us to invest on them. And our government and our company are very supportive and open-minded to help them to form into a business and to grow bigger. And I think like here in China, both government and capitals are very open-minded. So here in China, there are abundant new technologies, not in the AI field. And also, like as I mentioned before, we offer capital market application scenarios. So I think it's a very supportive environment for science-based startups to grow and expand their business here. And talking about how to commercialize their products in China, I think European startups need to understand the Chinese market, whether your product can be used in every Chinese people's daily life, and to target your customers' needs. I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, we just have here one German startup which is on a very European privacy protection domain, very successful in globally and in China. Maybe I can also ask you, like from your personal perspective, could you give the startups out here an advice when they approach China? Like at what stage or how?
So I just wanted to say one thing about the financing aspect, because I think it's very interesting that you say you can come with an idea and get funding. I think in Germany, especially also the VC scene is very much focused on revenues and showing like short-term revenues and how to scale that. I think if you want to, or you come with a product that is superior, like that's much better than anything else, and you can show that we can create category leaders, also without maybe the traction in the beginning, but you know, initial proof points is very hard to raise. So I think revenue is still a key driver, and that's something that I found interesting from what you say. Maybe a different mindset. Also, when you look at the US, there are a lot of companies that get funding, for example, with an open source strategy at the beginning, not having a lot of revenue, but getting a lot of traction, building out the product, and then afterwards having like a roadmap to actually commercialize. I think that's a difference in terms of funding and financing. And then regarding your question, how to engage here. So you mean engaging with Chinese companies is what you said, right? So, I mean, from our experience, it's mostly Chinese companies collecting data in Europe. And I can say that they take privacy laws very seriously. So for us, it's like companies approach us. So there are not that many hints in that regard. I think then when it comes to the first stages of interacting with the companies, it's important to also consider things like cultural differences, maybe to work with translators as well. So that was something that we experienced that helps a lot in the initial conversation. We actually also had interns from China, which was a big help also regarding the mindset and how to drive these conversations. Because also if you look at purchasing and all these things, there are a lot of like cultural differences. What I already said about more pragmatism, more execution driven, and you really need to understand those company cultures in order also to win a big deal there.
Yeah. Okay. Good insights. Maybe just asking for a very short answer. Maybe Scott, from your perspective, you have worked with the Zurich ETH Zurich. Do you see it similar like Thomas does, that basically the Chinese are more driven, KPI driven and revenue driven, or what is your experience with working with the Europeans or Swiss or Germans in the project?
Well, I think for our company, it's more like in China, we are really KPI driven, we are result driven, but within Europe, we will really respect the rhythm of everyone else, because especially for the Vodafone Railway program, we will wait until end of this year because we need different approvals. So actually in Europe, when we were cooperating with people in Europe, just like Thomas said, we might be even more serious than local companies, because we do not know what's the edge, what's the maximum or what's the minimum tolerance of everyone. So we would like to be as more serious and more cooperative. But of course, in China, when we know the maximum and we know the minimum of all the tolerance, we will be really KPI driven, really result driven. Because actually, for my own team, everything we do, we call our team operations team, but I think everything we do is an implementation team. We always want to make everything on ground, everything to implement. We always want them to see the results. That's when we know our edge, know how we can do. But when we don't know our boundaries, we will be really serious and really careful, actually.
Okay, so focused, yeah. Now we are reaching very slightly end, but I want to look at my left now. To Tina and Rasmus, are you interested in having more engagement with AI startups from China? Do you seek this contact?
Yeah, so from my point of view, definitely yes. We are already in cooperation with, for example, the German Accelerator Asia. And it's a big, there are many benefits, I think, in both directions. So we would certainly love to have a more, closer work together on certain exchange of ideas and business models, and of course, bringing startups to Asia, and also bringing startups from Asia to Berlin, of course, and to participate in our support programs. And yeah, I think we have already encountered that, and we have the experience that it's very valuable for all the participants to have that cultural exchange and the exchange of knowledge. And we will definitely focus on that. And whenever there's somebody interested in joining that communication, please feel free to contact us.
Yeah, I would just double down on that. So I think in the one direction, very interesting if companies from China want to expand to Europe and need a home, consider coming to the AI campus. That will give you a nice landing ground. So I think that's the one direction. The other direction, equally interesting. I think for some of our companies, the Chinese market is very interesting in terms of business development, because it's a very large market. As we heard, it's a bit more pragmatic here and there, and very technology focused. So yeah, we actually already have some business with some of our companies in China, but actually very little. So we would love to expand that. But both, I think, in healthcare, there's a lot of potential in autonomous driving, as we heard today, but also biotech could be very interesting. So yes, very open.
Good. So both ways. That's good. And then my last question or comment goes now to Grace. Do you have any program to offer for startups, or where they can apply, or how can they reach you to actually amaze you about their own solution? Do you have a program?
Yes, actually, we have a program with Humboldt-Tech Bridge, China, and we are looking for the startups who is advanced in sensorics, predictive maintenance, and industry IoT. So a small advertisement also in here, no matter the startups from Germany or from China, if you are working on the science-based, technology-based, on sensorics or industry IoT or predictive maintenance, it is welcomed to join our campaign in China. And if you win the campaign, you have chance to go into the Continental's incubator to work together with Continental Group in 2022. And you can also receive more and more investment opportunities in next year. So for more details, I think Samuel can also help me to spread it out in this group later on, and also welcomed all the startups with great technologies to join us, Continental ecosystem.
So yeah, so for the audience, like if you have questions, if you want to reach out to Grace, you just send us an email, follow us on LinkedIn, direct message me. We will establish this connection. I think we are now at the end of our time, and I think we had a lot of people here supporting the AI startup ecosystem, autonomous driving ecosystem. We had excellent presentations, very exciting startups and solutions. And I'm really thankful that you all joined, and would like to then wrap up this event, say goodbye, say that reach out to us, apply for the Bridge to China program, apply for the Science Startup program, get in touch with Merantix, get in touch with ContiTech, talk to Zhangjiang Group if you need help. Scott, we are really looking forward for your shopping cart here. And Thomas, we are very thankful that if they hopefully if you work with them together, that they develop a shopping cart which is private with good privacy protection, so they will not recognize us. And yeah, then having said that, I would say goodbye and good weekend. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice weekend.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.